Una good evening for all una, my fellow Ambazonians and friends of Ambazonians. Una good evening for all una. I be una brother Asu, una the press secretary for the executive office for Governing Council of Ambazonia. I don't come today when a Tuesday, number 22 day for the month of June for 2021. Today, I know see yesterday, I not be fit for talk now, and today I talk say make I take small short time for can give una updates, tell una what did happen, salute our forces, and tell una what la Republic du Cameroun in the plan. All right. So una good evening for all una welcome. Make we start. The weekend, this weekend we just passed. It be been at the most bloodiest weekend against Cameroon occupation forces. This weekend we just passed, it be been a weekend of hell against Cameroon military for Ambazonia. The Ambazonian forces all across the 13 states, they teach La République du Cameroun a lesson where for the history of Cameroon, they no go ever forget them. Before we go for the leader for a war of independence, yesterday, he put out a message for the Ambazonian people. For salute what people them for the country Sunday, and for the mind what people say, they say the country Sunday, the Monday goes down. Now a day, now a national day, where all Ambazonian they fight against La République du Cameroun, their occupation, they show their resistance and they show their defiance against the illegal occupation and the tyranny where Cameroon is put them for inside Walan. The leader talks say he thank all the Ambazonian people them, and for talk say they say the Monday goes down where Ambazonia they start them. It go down for history as the day where the Ambazonian people they talk say colonialism it no go exist for Ambazonia. They talk say occupation it no go exist for Ambazonia. And they talk say international conspiracy for Ambazonia. Ambazonia they go end am. The leader talk say the war with the forces they carry am go jam La République du Cameroun. It don't enter now for a different level. Now so the leader he take am, he put am for a message. And the leader talk say he want thank all the commanders them for their bravery, and he want thank them for the fear where they not get them for their heart, for that lion heart where they get them, for that heart of the tiger where they take them for fight La République du Cameroun, army, police, gendarme, and B. He talks, he thank all the commanders and he thank all the general. Then the leader also talks, he want thank General No Pity for the spirit of hope we don't show him and the sacrifices we don't show him. For make Cameroon, make it feel defeated, feel weak, and feel humiliated for Ambazonia people, their land. Alright? It talks the action of General No Pity, it don't help for inspire all the other forces them too and encourage them. The leader talks for this time for our war of liberation, we get for continue for make the action the way they carry them once in a while, they carry them for year, they carry them for day. We get for make those actions instead for those actions for be once in a while. We get for make those actions for something we go be na continuous, for something we go be na systematic. Not be na something where the Ambazonian people they go only see them after 1 week or after 2 weeks or after 3 days. But na something we get for be continuous and consistent. We get for be systematic. So the leader talks he want call on the forces of the Marine Force, when na General No Pity Force. He want call on them. Make number one, may they respect the spirit of the Geneva Convention. The leader talks we not feel leave them. Make our courage, our bravery, it be taken over by say that the forces, after they don't kill La République du Cameroun, their soldier, you go, after you don't kill the person, you go still go again, you go make video cut the person in neck. He talk say that one, he not fine. That's so the leader, he talk am. All right. The leader also talks say, they say, he call on all the people then where they support other forces. May they not make the may they leave the story of no pity, because in fighting for a war of independence, not been a fighting. Instead, na team we get for unite all we. That's so the leader he talk am. The leader talks say for this time we get for focus now for the work for make sure say we consolidate what gains them on the ground. We make sure say all the places who will fight like the Republic of Cameroon and they push them out, we feel build capacity for them, build big forces for them, where they feel protect our people them and plant Ambazonia flag for them, for create the local institutions them, where they will give the Ambazonia people them the liberation where they need them. The leader talks say, they say, now the work that we will get for the focused on, for make sure say we consolidate our gains and we expand our gains. The leader also talks say, they say, we get for conduct ourselves for this our liberation struggle. We get for show maturity and we get for show confidence for our strategy, for our vision, and for our roadmap. The leader also talks say, they say, for Saturday, he meet up with a team of executive for look into the work, the things that happen for the international community and the war way it go on for the ground. He talks say, they say, he be meet up, he be get more than 20 meetings with a top people them for review specific things that happen around for the international community and also on the ground, and also for make sure say we avoid the mistakes for the past. Okay, the leader talks say he want warn the Ambazonian people, say danger they ahead. The leader write am say he want warn what people say danger is there for front. All right. The leader talks say we get for stay positive and we get for continue for make sure say all the work we do it not create chaos, but they instead move we forward. All right. The leader talks say they say La République du Cameroun it be weak and they don't become bankrupt for their way for fight and even for when it comes for money matter. The leader also talks say they say wahala is there too for Nigeria. We know they for Nigeria. All right. And he talks say all these things that they continue for help we for make we become more stronger in terms of our resistance against Cameroon. Okay. And the leader talks say they say we put in place the leadership they put in place, diplomatic things that they put them in place, and the new strategy for ground that they put them in place for make sure say no matter what happen for La République du Cameroun and no matter how Nigeria scatter, for make sure say our war of independence it no go fall, but instead it go move all way forward. Okay. So the leader talks say they say make we know say they say the international community get two choice. Now two choice the international community get them. The choice for see Ambazonia as a stability factor, or the choice for continue for be with for continue for support La République du Cameroun way, now a state way, a time for this world it don't come to an end. All right. Now the message that way the leader he put them for outside for all way. I want first of all start for salute all the forces for ground. Over the last few days, the forces on the ground they don't carry aggressive, offensive actions against La République du Cameroun for the state of Ngoketunja, for the great state of Manu, for the great state of Coupé, for the great state of Mezam, for the great state of Momo, for the great state of Menchum. Just in the last few days, highly aggressive, offensive actions against La République du Cameroun. So one salute all the generals, all the commanders, and all the forces for their dedication, for their sacrifice, and for the courage where they get them for stand up, for defend Ambazonia against Cameroon occupation, colonialism, and annexation for inside Ambazonia. The reason why one can't talk for all today, I know say what people, the war of independence, it don't become like a movie. where people that they expect, say, certain part of the movie, you go see some kind drama, right? While people, because of social media, the liberation for war don't become now a factor of entertainment. The liberation war of Ambazonia, it don't become now a factor of action and entertainment for most Ambazonians. They look up to the revolution, the war on the ground. The day where soldiers they carry some action where it create excitement and a state of euphoria. People they go jump up and down. It go be like say the liberation don't just end. Like say Ambazonia don't just win la Republic of Cameroun. Those actions they're good and they're fine because it inspire what people them and it show how powerful the forces they be, how lethal they be, how experienced they be for fight against la Republic of Cameroun occupation. Those things they're fine. Now the block by block strategy that for create a system, which those actions that they do, these sporadic, spontaneous actions, they cost the enemy as they be create the strategy for stretch the enemy because the enemy don't know which side you go attack them, when you go attack them, and which place you go attack them. It stretch the enemy and it make the enemy it become disoriented. They become confused and they live in a state of fearfulness. Those actions define. We applaud those actions. We want those actions because now the strategy that for shaking the enemy everywhere so that you disorientate them. Now the strategy that of the block by block. Stretch the enemy, cause them to be confused, disorientate them. All right? Those actions are fine. We want more of those actions. We want more of those offensive actions. Those actions by themselves, they need to give the Ambazonian people them the spirit of the liberation. Those sporadic, unpredictable actions, spontaneous actions, they fine because it show the activeness of the war. Those actions, however, not be now the thing where it will give the Ambazonian people them the power where they need them on the ground. So now two things get for the happen. Two, you need these sporadic, explosive, spontaneous actions. You also need the second most important thing. You need a stabilizing factor. When you carry out these actions, you push La Republique du Cameroun out. You take them out. You take their forces out. You take their bases out. You must build a stabilizing factor for fill in the gap where will be occupied by La Republique du Cameroun. Now listen very carefully. The offensive sporadic actions defined. They must be followed up by the second step and for your leadership camp. All the block by block forces that they do now the exact same thing of the actions so when I don't see them for ground over the weekend. Now their job that. The block by block forces for move from one place, carry out actions. They do they follow the exact strategy where the leader be designer. Disorientate the enemy, kick them out, make them weak, make them fearful, confuse them. A fine. The most important thing after that, now the walkway, the ADF, they do one. All the block by block forces, they do the work where they be designer. Second step, now for stabilize the ground. Now for put in the force, where as they push La Republique du Cameroun out, that force they will get for take over that territory and turn them into an Ambazonian territory. So that we consolidate the gains. When you take out these sporadic actions and you not build a powerful force for take over that land, take over that block, take over that space, and turn them into an Ambazonian territory, then those actions, they will only be in a signs of agitation. Those actions, they will only be in a signs of agitation. Because you not still get the capacity for take over the place, for maintain peace, and build in the stability for the people, they will need them. Now for you, it make now the difference this between leadership and just agitation. Why all the block by block actions them, we applaud them. the governing council of Ambazonia, it be focus now for two things: encourage offensive actions, encourage sporadic actions, spontaneous actions of all the block by block forces them. But as the foundation of the liberation, the goal of the ADF on the ground in terms of their stabilization plan, now for the take all the fight as fields that they fight, now for make sure say they start to build consolidated force, the stabilization force, for make that land we fight so that they don't push La Republic of Cameroon out, turn them into Ambazonia captured, controlled territory. Now the most important work that we get for doing, the most important work not be just these actions the way that they take once in a while against La Republic of Cameroon. Those actions, they need to translate into victory. They translate into excitement. Victory, when you push them out and you get the force, if you fill in that gap and if you defend that block after you don't push them out. If you just do sporadic actions, you come out. When you go, La République du Cameroun will so send other soldiers them, they can't fill in that place because you not build a force. You not get the capacity for filling that place. That's why your actions, they be classified as agitative actions. Now the difference this will leadership be making for people their lives. That's why we continuously insist on the roadmap of the liberation. We need to just insist on sporadic actions. Just because we want to make La République come negotiate, make La République make this sporadic action, they make La République enter table. You need to fight not just because you want to go negotiate. You need to fight not just because you want to kill 2 or 3 La République du Cameroun and Kelebe, and then you scream. You need to fight. Now say, as I did knock them off, I build the capacity, I build the force, I build the element where if you give the Ambazonian people them the assurance, say they get protection. The assurance say they will be defended. The assurance say we'll turn that place into an Ambazonian territory and we'll pin an Ambazonian flag for them because we don't build a powerful system on the ground. We will stabilize the ground. Because the international community, it really just one look say we kill La République du Cameroun army, police, and gendarme. The thing where they look at, the most important thing where the international community they look at. Now, if you build the force, we go guarantee peace, security, and stability. Because the sporadic actions, they create insecurity, right? They create displacement, they create fear. That one fine for push Cameroon out. The second step, and the step that way Dr. Abadi take up. Now the step that way the governing council of Ambazonia they take up. Now the step that way the governing council of Ambazonia. Now the only movement where they take the steps for not just for take these sporadic actions, but for make sure say the Ambazonian people that they consolidate these gains where they make them. And they stabilize the ground by training forces where they go fill in the gap for proof to the international community. We need to just agitate. But we fight for make sure say we become the alternative power on the ground. We will become the people them when then they will guarantee peace, security, and stability for Ambazonia. We must guarantee the international system. Say as we defeat La République du Cameroun, we must show them. Say we fit bring peace for our people them. We fit protect our people them, and we fit create a conducive, stable environment for international trade, peace, and security. The two things they must go hand in hand as a leader talker. Offensive action and consolidation, they must go hand in hand. Now the difference between all the other group and the Ambazonia Defense Forces. Every other defense group on the ground, they focus on just sporadic actions. The Ambazonia Defense Forces, while they focus on offensive actions, their most important work now for make sure say the offensive actions, they give room for consolidation and stabilization of ground zero. We must take now a two-step approach. Offensive approach, the consolidation and stabilizing approach. They go hand in hand. You do one without the other, Cameroon still be in charge. If you only take now offensive actions You not train forces, you not build a bigger force, Cameroon still be in charge. Your actions, not just agitations. Now the difference is between the ADF and any other group on the ground. Now the difference is between the Governing Council of Ambazonia as the liberation movement, where it stands for Liberate Ambazonia, and any other group. Because the actions of any other group are agitative actions for the purpose for just for go sit down for negotiating table at the Republic of Cameroon. The Governing Council, it is focused not to stabilize, liberate, and stabilize. Offensive actions, stabilize. Offensive actions, turn them into Ambazonian territory. Turn them into Ambazonian gains. Turn them into Ambazonia get control based on building a powerful force on the ground. So, I just talk say one can give for people them this clarity, this understanding, so that when you see these sporadic actions, may they excite you. But what is next after that? I don't know whether I don't realize them. I be tell when about 3 weeks ago, say all the explosives on the ground, 95% of all the explosives where they use them for ground, of all those actions we want to be the same. Now ADF be the provider. For the last 2 weeks, we don't ever see one explosive it take place on Ambazonia. Because ADF never share explosives. Because ADF never give explosives to all the other forces them. When I don't hear one explosive, one ammo car don't be taken out from Ambazonia in the last 2 weeks. No. Now the difference is I want make una start to think. Not being a for outside there. Leadership na leadership. The Ambazonia Defense Forces, it remains at the pillar for the Ambazonia War of Liberation. A superstar fee just come out to take 1 or 2 actions. But the center of stability on the ground, now Ambazonia Defense Forces. The center for whole Ambazonia liberation may not turn them into a small game of fame. Now Ambazonia Defense Forces. This thing not be about fame. Over the weekend, when I see a very big action will take place out there, will be good for the Ambazonian people then. The action for Manu. Also, I want to salute the forces for Nguti, because no man will be talk about them. Forces for Nguti, they also carry out action over the weekend and it not be publicized. They take out two like the Republic of Cameroon, a terrorist army them. For Nguti, it not be publicized. I want to salute that commander and I want to salute those block by block forces for Nguti. I salute them for their actions. I want to tell when say, would they follow through? Any group on the ground will carry out an action. Now for the benefit of Ambazonia, it carry out an action will be against Cameroon. Now for the benefit of the liberation of Ambazonia. And it must be celebrated by all we. Not being a group thing. We not get out of this group mentality. Every force on the ground will carry out an action against Cameroon. Now for the benefit of the liberation of Ambazonia. And every Ambazonia go for celebrate. Not being a group thing. That's why when I don't see the ACN who make maybe the voice of the soldiers and for ground. Any force we carry any action, we can't celebrate them. Irrespective of who you think you fight under, or which group you think you fight under. The main group we fight under, now Ambazonia. Every other group, not just a platform for help you, give you the equipment, give you the structure for do the work on behalf of the Ambazonian people. Then. That's why we celebrate the action of every soldier on the ground. No matter who you be. You be first Ambazonia, and you define first na for Ambazonia. Any platform you will operate under, not just a structure for give you the means and the ability and the capabilities for fight for the Ambazonian people then. So that's why ACN now the voice of all the soldiers and for ground. And that's why we promote the work of every soldier on the ground. Every leader will do any good thing in favor for the Ambazonian people then. We go so promote a work. Any Ambazonia, no matter who say you there, anything we do and move Ambazonia forward, the ACN their voice. ACN are the voice for Mami the way that they observe ghost town. Now the voice for Mami the way that they sell for market. Now the voice for picking the way they need to go school because of the occupation and because of the war. The ACN are the voice for prisoners of war where they day for La République du Cameroun. They are colonial concentration camps. The ACN are the voice of the refugees. We would therefore not for represent all the various factions for a war of independence. ACN are the voice of all the civil society movements where they stand up for advocate for the right of the Ambazonian people then. So we would therefore not for represent all our people their voice. Our people their collective voice would be represented for ACN. So in a place where whether in a civil society movement, whether in a self-defense group, ACN a place where we can push, we can preach a gospel as long as na in favor of Ambazonia against La République du Cameroun. Now the place for all our lawyers them. Now the place for all our teachers them. Now a voice for the liberation of Ambazonia. Now a voice for the freedom of our people them. Before I go, make a remind una. Now two strategy would you follow them now. Strategy number 1. Offensive, aggressive actions against the occupation forces for the Ambazonian territory. Strategy number 2, which are the most important. Now the stabilization plan. We push Cameroun out, we take over the territory, and we turn them into a liberated territory. We consolidate our gains. Now the work that General F and Gideon. While all the other brigades them, they focus on offensive, aggressive actions. The work of the general now for make sure say we consolidate our gains, we stabilize liberated communities, and give our people them a sense of belonging, a place where they feel at peace. Like we don't see what it don't happen for Guza. When the Ambazonia Defense Forces, special forces they call them, they are Kamatsos. They come for Guza, take over Guza, will be a loose place. When I see the market don't open, businesses they don't open. So people then now the people that they did for Bush, the feet start move back into Guza because it being a place where we get the capacity for defend them. We get the capacity for bring peace, for bring order for those places. Now they plan this. I want to tell when I say the leadership of Governing Council of Ambazonia, Dr. Abadi worked very hard. The leader and the team, they work extremely hard. I know we'll give you the details. We'll now see the details on the ground. The training where they take place on Ambazonia, the number of forces where they train them for different places on Ambazonia. Excuse me. We'll now go see the fruits of the leadership of General Effa on the ground. The leader don't tell you, the revolution not been a walk in the park. It take discipline, it take dedication, it take consistency. You must follow the plan. Follow your plan for victory, your plan for the liberation. So the leader and a team of experts, they work extremely hard for put certain things on the ground. When I go to see and when I say, we will live and make those things, they speak for themselves. Make those actions, they reveal themselves. Make those structures, they take place for the Ambazonian people then. When I get faith, when I get confidence, not being a movie, not the lives of our people then. Not being a competition for social media, not a liberation plan. na leadership. Na leadership. Abiri, my liver for you. You not get slip of the tongue. All right? My talk is for today. My talk is for today. Make all man get a blessed Tuesday evening. Una trust, una believe, una stay committed to the plan. There is no substitute to the ADF. There is no alternative to the ADF. There is no alternative to the Governing Council of Ambazonia. Shake no day. Not been a movie. It's not a walk in the park. We don't hear say la Republic du Cameroun, you don't bring tanks. The war don't enter in a different phase. Tomorrow, I'll be talk on. May God bless all man. Una get a good night. And as always, we love all una. Una stay strong.